by clicking like, then like the video, comment, and share the video. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome to another life-changing moment here at the Dominion Center, where we are empowering people and changing lives. On behalf of our Bishop and Pastor, Rodney and Michelle Roberts, we would like to thank you for joining us on this Sunday morning. And to all of our first-time visitors, please don't forget to fill out your visitors cards and returning them directly to us after service at the media table, where there's a special gift waiting just for you. Our nursery is available from the ages of newborn to 7 years of age. So please avail yourself to our nursery department so that you can freely worship in today's service. We ask that you reverence God and be respectful by not eating in the sanctuary at any given time. If you must do so, please feel free to visit our nursery department. Did you know that we're live on Facebook every Sunday mornings at 10:30 a.m. and on our local channel 15 at 4 p.m. and also on Wednesday mornings at 10:30 a.m. Now here are your announcements. If you don't have time for breakfast on Sunday mornings, don't worry, we've got you covered with free light refreshments right here at the Dominion Center at 9 a.m. Come on out and join us for a free cup of coffee or tea. Join us this Wednesday for our Empowerment Night as Bishop Roberts teaches on our new series, Born to be Wealthy. This series will help break generational curse and create generational wealth. This is something you don't want to miss. Join us right here at the Dominion Center at 7 p.m. If you like to start your mornings off with other believers bringing heaven into the earth, you can do so by simply calling our prayer line at 605-475-4000, access code 575169#. Don't forget to opt in for our latest news and emergencies. You can do so by texting Living in Dominion to 55469. That's Living in Dominion to 55469. Continue enjoying our messages on the go. Stop over at the media table and get your copy on CD or MP3, or simply go to livingindominion.com. That's livingindominion.com. Have you heard about all the miracle signs and wonders that's happening here at the Dominion Center? Well, join me on our Dominion app. You can download this free app by going to your Google Play Store or your Apple Store. Click onto the Dominion Center and download. This is a way to stay social with your church family and continue sharing what God is doing in your life. But did you know that you can give your tithes right here on our Dominion app? Or go over to Cash App and hit TDC Now. That's TDC Now. Dominion family and friends, save the date. October 27th is our Family and Friends Sunday service. We ask that you invite all your unsaved family and friends to come join us to have a high time in the Lord. Dinner will be served directly after service, but we ask that you stop over at the media table to pick up your invitations and also have your guest text FFOCT 2019. That's FFOCT 2019.
Created to be kings in the earth, authority lost through the word of rebirth. Now we are free, authority. We are dominion. We are dominion. We are dominion. We are dominion.
If you're unfortunate to have an Android, pull it up on there. I'm praying for you. You got an Android, I'm praying for you. I'm messing with y'all. Don't, if somebody say, he talking. Listen, if you can talk, call, and text and all that, you all right. Amen. Android, Obama phone, whatever the case may be. I was in a meeting where a guy was doing a teaching on business, how to prepare a business plan. And the funny thing about it is he pulled out a flip phone. Well, see if you can get that static out of the line. He pulled out a flip phone. See if you can get the static out the line first. Okay? And everybody in the class was like in shock. And he was like, I ain't on the grid. I said, oh, okay, but man, that flip phone you had, that wasn't even a good flip phone. It wasn't even a good flip phone. Proverbs, it's a lot of static. Proverbs 16:3 in the New International Version says, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. It says, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. Just repeat that after me. Say, commit to the Lord, whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. All right. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. And one of the things that we've been trying to get you to understand is that everything that the Most High has created, including us, was established to operate and be governed by principles. So fulfillment of purpose is going to require us to obey the Most High principles. If you can't get it to stop, just unplug them. You can unplug them and just give me a little bit more right there. Okay? Give me a little bit more right there. So if we're going to fulfill the purpose for which we've been created, it's going to require us obeying the Most High's principles. And as we all know, principles are fixed laws. Principles are fixed laws. Somebody say they're fixed laws that work cannot be violated. They are fixed laws that work anywhere. And they've been fixed laws. They've been set in place so that they will govern our lives in a way that we'll be successful. Amen? 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 Oh, y'all ain't saying nothing. So we talked about 7 characteristics of a principle. I tried to be smooth with it. Y'all bless me and pray for me and all that good stuff. 7 characteristics of a principle. Y'all remember them? Who took good notes last week? Oh, nobody. Okay. Who took good notes last week? Number 1, principles are what? Permanent. All right. Number 2, principles. Number 3, principles what? Number 4, principles. Number 5, principles. Number 6, principles win. Number 7, principles do what? Principles are permanent. Principles never change. Principles work anywhere. Principles protect the product. Principles can never be broken. Principles, when violated, produce destruction, and principles contain inherent judgment. And one of the principles we have to commit to in order to be successful is the principle of planning. Somebody say the principle of planning. Most of the people we know, including ourselves, we have a tendency to think that things just happen. Things just happen. The people that you see that are successful, they're not successful by accident or coincidence. People are successful because they are committed to planning. Somebody shout planning. They are committed to planning. All right? And the principle of planning is one of the ways you're going to be able to guarantee that you have good success. Most of us, we have a tendency to meander through life and just think that we're going to run into success. But success is planned. Amen? Amen. Success is planned. Those of you who think that you're going to do well financially, you got to have a good budget. You got to be a good planner. Right? Because the truth of the matter, the law of abundance is you can't attract abundance if you're not doing things that would create abundance. So the truth of the matter is most people that are in this room or in your life or that are around you won't be successful financially because they refuse to plan. I've had people say this over and over again, and I'm sure you've heard this before when you talk to them about being on a budget. And they were saying, I don't have anything to budget. And you don't have anything because you don't budget. Hello? I don't have anything to budget. If you got income, you got something to budget. And if you don't plan your money will have a plan for you. Let me try to, okay, that's okay. If you don't plan your money and plan where your money's going and what you're doing with your money will have a plan for you. Hello, somebody. So the principle of planning, this is a principle we must actively and consistently engage in to be successful. And most people that we know are just living life hoping things are going to get better. The same thing with a person financially. If you know what? If I win the lottery, everything will be fine. If you have never budgeted your money, you'll go through millions of dollars without a plan and end up with nothing. You know how many people, young men play in the NBA, and 5 years after retiring, they're broke, they have nothing because they had no plan. They weren't planning for the future. They weren't planning for a way to sustain them. And a lot of times they've spent the money that they were making before they made it. I was listening to one player who was talking about, he didn't realize it, Shaquille O'Neal. He was saying he got a check, and the first time he got a check, I forgot who was the endorsement company that gave him a check. He said he got the check, and he said his accountant called him and said, bruh, you just spent all that money in a day. And he said, there's no way. He said, listen, you got to understand, yeah, you had $1 million in the endorsement, but you got to remember you was taxed almost half of that. So you spent money that you didn't even have because you ain't paid your taxes yet. You don't spent the whole $1 million, now you in the hole. He said, well, what did you buy? He said, well, I went to the car dealer and I got a Mercedes. He said, when I came home, my dad said, I want one of those. So I went and got him a Mercedes. Well, when I came back, my mother said, I can't believe you and him done went and got Mercedes and I don't have no Mercedes. And after going to buy 3 Mercedes and being taxed almost half of his money, his $1 million endorsement deal that he had just got the check for was gone. Hello? Look at somebody and say, you don't need the new car. You need a plan. You don't need that outfit. You need a plan. I'm trying to talk to some of y'all. You don't need that new outfit. You need a plan. Hello, somebody. Hello, somebody. Y'all ain't saying that. I said, hello, somebody. Right? Look at somebody say, you don't need that super weave. You need a plan. You need a plan. Worst thing in the world is see somebody at the bus stop with an iPhone 10, 11. Hello, somebody. And they got $1,000 weave in their head and they're catching the bus. You could have got a car with $1,000. I'm not going to wear on my head what I can be sitting my butt on getting around in. Never mind. Somebody say you need a plan. Well, that ain't go too well either, Arthur. So somebody shout the principle of planning. So I may not even get off point one, but point one is you got to make a plan. One of the worst things we could do is not have a plan. And we've all seen people in our lives. They'll ask you how you did something, and when you tell them how you did it and it requires work, they're not interested. So most people think that you just happened upon things. Hello? And that's not the case. That's not the case. It takes planning. Hello? Okay. We ain't going to get a lot of amens this morning. Pastor Michelle, can you at least help me out, baby, please? All right. Thank you. I've seen people ask simple questions like, so Jabari knows what I'm talking about. We were in Buffalo, and we were meeting Bishop Jackson over there. His son was getting ready to play against the University of Buffalo. And when we got there, we hadn't seen him in a while. So he hugged us and everything. And the first thing he asked Jabari is, what you doing with your life? Not, man, I ain't seen you in 5 or 10 years. He said, what you doing with your life? And Barry was like, and he loves to do that to people because, and he does, if he's talking to me on the phone, if we ain't talking about, he said, what you doing with your life? And I'll never forget, years ago, my wife and I was sitting with him in the car. And he said, you got to understand, you got to have a plan. He said, from the age of 20 to 30, you should be living in your plan. And then from 30 to 40, you should be enjoying the benefits of your plan so that when you get 40, you can retire off your plan. And I had never had anybody tell me that with the expectation of being able to retire by 40. But what he was saying is if you live your life with purpose and you plan, you can go ahead and sit yourself down and do some things that you really want to do if you sacrifice the first 20 years of your life, which are the most major part of your life. Because really up until then, you can't do anything because you're not an adult. So you're figuring out who you are the first 20 years. You should be living in it from 20 to 30, and you should be enjoying it while you're living in it from 30 to 40, and then you should be able to walk away and retire. I never had nobody talk to me like that. And it was all because he had a plan. Somebody said, do you have a plan? Do you have a plan? And this is why most people, they work 30 years and they can't retire because their plan was really somebody else's plan. See, when you work for somebody, you're working in their plan. I was telling Latrice this, and she was talking about what's going on in products with the striking and how the CEO is making, $22 million? And I was like, and how it's not right because they're going to cut people's pay and they're going to take people's medical. And I was like, I don't see nothing wrong with it. The problem is you're expecting people to do for you what they've planned to do for themselves. That's their company. Now, I understand because we live in a time where we feel like we're entitled, but that company doesn't have to do anything for us. I know y'all don't like to hear that because you think somebody's supposed to take care of you, but they're really not supposed to take care of you. Because if I can pay a person in Mexico $4.50 to do what I'm paying you $30 to do, I'm a businessman, right? I'm in the business of making what? And I can make more money if I get the labor cheaper, right? So from your perspective, you feel like I owe you something. You're just helping me manifest my dream. You actually got me to where I'm at, where I can walk away from you and go to Mexico and get this thing cheaper. Never mind, didn't go too well. Y'all ain't used to hearing them because what you want, what we're used to do is we're still waiting on somebody to give us 40 acres and a mule, and you better go ahead and get your own 40 acres and get a doggone horse. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Get a stallion up in this joint. So listen, every other ethnic group in this country has gotten respirations. We haven't. And we got to stop waiting for somebody to do for us what we have to do for ourselves. Am I talking to the right people? Somebody say, what's your plan? Okay. So I've seen people ask this simple question, what's the vision for your life? Or what are you doing with your life? And most people are like, I don't know. How do you get 40 and 50 and don't know? How do you get 50 and 60 and don't know? So what you end up doing is dying, not living out or maximizing your potential, and all you do is complain about everybody else and what they didn't do for you. That's why I said you can't be 30 and 40 and still blaming your mama and daddy for where you are right now. You've had plenty of time to get that together. Let me try this. You've had plenty of time to get that together. There are other people who've been through worse and are doing more. Are you hearing what I'm saying? The person that did it to you, they don't die and everything, and you still allowing that to stop your progress, stop you from being successful. And see, you got to understand, like I say to people all the time, my father was not in my life, but him not being in my life has nothing to do with who I am and what I'm going to be. Amen. This didn't go too well. Somebody shout, make a plan. So the scripture says, commit to the Lord whatever you do. Somebody shout, whatever. And then he says, and your plans will succeed. And your plans will succeed. Are y'all still with me? Now watch this. I want to go to Proverbs 16:1 in the ESV Bible. Watch this. This right here blessed me so much. I ran upstairs last night and bammed on the room door. My wife was in the room. I bammed on the door because I couldn't get the door open. And I said, I got to tell you what I just read. And she was like, okay. And, sometimes people don't be as excited as you are. And I had to preach a mini sermon for her to get excited. But once I got the sermon out, she was all right. So watch this. It says the plans of the heart belong to man. Watch this. But the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. Watch this. Let's read it again. Y'all didn't get excited? You didn't see it? Okay. It says the plans of the heart belong to man, but the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. Let me read it again because I thought I was going to have at least two people shout with me. It says the plans of the heart belong to man, but the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. Hello? In other words, the Most High has left it up to us to put the plan together. And not just put the plan together, he wants you to put the plan together and write it down on paper. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Now watch this. He's saying put the plan together. He says the plans of the heart belong to man. Somebody say it belongs to me. The plans of the heart belongs to me, but the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. And so he has left it up to us to put the plan together on paper, but how it's going to get done, he says he's going to take care of that. He's going to answer that, or he's going to reply. He's going to tell you the next thing. So sometimes you're so busy trying to work out the end of the plan when you got to understand your only job is to write the plan down. You hear what I'm saying? You ain't got to figure out where the $1 million coming from. Write it down, and he got the answer to that. Never. You hear? Let me go ahead. I'm going to talk to Antoine. I see you shaking your head, so I'm going to talk to somebody. So whatever you're dreaming, put it on paper. Whatever's been in your heart, write it down. Whatever you see in a vision, write it down on paper. No matter how big it is, if you see it, and I was telling my wife last night, I said, for example, my desire in the next 2 years is to own 100 properties. Write it down. Write it down. Right, let me try. See, it's my desire to own 100 properties, so I'm going to write it down on paper. In other words, if you want to own a car dealership, write it down on paper. If you want a coaching business, write it down. Look at somebody, say, write it down, write it down, write it down. And if you see yourself owning a franchise, write it down. Hello, somebody, when you write it down, describe the franchise and how many stoves or how many ovens will be in it, what the parking lot will look like. As you begin to write it down, begin to write down the location, begin to write down how the house is going to look and what neighborhoods they're going to be in and how much income you're expecting it to generate. You need to just write it down. And he's saying that if you would take the plan that is in your heart and if you would write it down, he says, I'm going to give you the answer. In other words, I don't know how I'm going to own 100 properties when I don't have 100 properties money right now. But he said, Rodney, if you take what I put in your heart and you write it down and you begin to put a plan together, I'm going to answer the rest of it for you. Thank you, mother. Thank you, mother. I'm going to answer. Do you hear what I'm saying? He's saying, no plan. I ain't got nothing to work with. But if you start writing it down and you start putting it on paper, he's saying, what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to give you the answers that you don't have on that piece of paper. Okay, let me keep building. Let me keep building. Somebody say, make a plan, make a plan. He's saying, if you write it down, I'm going to answer the how. He's saying, if you don't try, and you don't write it down, how would you know what I'll be able to do? But if you write it down, I'm going to answer the how. He's saying, don't try to do my job, do your job. Your job is to write down the plan. My job is to make the provision for it and give you the answer. Look at somebody, say, stop doing his job. So what happens is you can't even write the plan down and free him to give you the answer because you're so busy trying to say, well, how it's going to happen? Where is it going to come from? And the thing about it is here, if you knew all the answers, what would be the purpose of faith? Come on, talk to me, somebody. So he's saying, if you write it down, do your job, and I'm going to do my job, and I'll give you the answers. Never mind. That didn't go too well. Let me tell you, over a year ago, when I first got into the credit industry, I wrote some stuff down on a piece of paper. And one of the things that I wrote down is not just that I wanted to be out of debt, but I wanted to help 500 families get out of debt. That's a part of the plan. I don't know who the 500 families are. I don't even know the people. But let me tell you something. It's going to happen. Now, so when I was writing it down, one of the things that's awesome about when you start writing plans down, other things will come to you while you're writing. So while I was writing, I was like, you know what? I want to get in the credit business and I want to touch every aspect of credit. I want to be in a situation where I'm able to sell trade lines. Well, obviously, I don't have enough credits to sell enough trade lines to the rest of the world. But as I started writing the plan down, somebody shout, writing it down. Man, over almost a year to the date I wrote it down, I got introduced with a guy who said, listen, I can get you access to 400 credit cards. And it all started because I wrote the plan down. And if you write it down, he will answer. He will give you the reply. He will give you the next thing. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Never mind. Never mind. Listen, and there's days now that I make money before I even touch the floor with my feet because I wrote the plan down. If you write the plan down, you free him to give you the answer. I thought I had some help up in here. Somebody say, write it down. Look at somebody and say, stop doing God's job. Do your job. And he's going to do his. Watch this. This same verse translated in the ISV Bible. It says, people do the planning. Watch this. But the end result is from the Lord. Woo! Let me try to. It says, people do the planning, but the end result is from the Lord. That's why you ain't got to try to figure out how it's going to happen. You just write it down. Are you hearing what I'm saying? How am I going to get the house? Write the plan down. And let me tell you something. The end result is from the Lord. He's just looking to see if you have enough faith to write it down. And let me tell you something. What you're doing when you're writing it down is you're taking things that are in the spirit realm and you are literally putting them in the natural realm. In other words, think about it. Think about it. Let me just use, as I start writing, I will have 100K in the next 6 months. What was in the spirit just manifested in the natural. Amen. Right? And that's because thoughts become things. I thought I had. So the other thing that you're doing is when you're writing is you're pulling from what's in the spirit into the natural by putting it on paper. And let me tell you something. The molecules and everything in the earth realm has to respond to what you started planning. In other words, the people, the places, and the things that you need for those things to come together, he's going to make sure the end result manifests. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Look at somebody and say, I'm getting ready to run into some people that God is going to use to answer the plan. You hear what I'm saying? You hear what I'm saying? This is why I got so excited and ran upstairs and said to my wife, I said, I'm trying to tell you something. We are so close to getting the answer. We're so close to the end result manifesting. But he can't do nothing until you do your job. You got to write it down. Somebody holler, write it down. I'm going to force what is in the spirit to come into the natural realm. Hello? Vision boards are cool. But those are pictures of somebody else's reality. I'm not against vision board, but I tell you what, nothing goes better for you in your life than you writing down this plan. I thought I had somebody. Now listen, somebody say, watch this. The scripture says, people do the planning, but the end result is from the Lord. So you just write it down. And he's saying, I'll take care of the end results. Habakkuk 2:2, it says, write the vision and make it plain upon tables that he may run that readeth it. Who reads it? Watch this. Who is the first person to read what you write? So guess who's going to run first? That's why you got to write it down. See, you keep writing your vision down thinking that I'm going to share it with somebody else and they're going to run with it. Can't nobody run better with your vision than you. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And ain't nobody going to be more excited about it than you. So I'm telling you right now, if you're expecting to own a franchise, write the restaurant down, the location, how the parking lot going to look, how it's going to be laid out, where the fryer's going to be, y'all hear what I'm saying? Where the reception area going to be. Start writing it down. And let me tell you something. What's going to start happening? Fryers going to start manifesting. Never mind. In other words, you do your part, and he said, I'm going to take care of the end results. But you got to write the vision, make it plain upon tables. In other words, make it plain upon a piece of paper. So what that he may run that what readeth. Don't nobody read what I write before I do. And ain't nothing more exciting than for you to experience the end result where you don't wrote something down and you come back to where it was written down a year ago and you see he did just what he said he was going to do. He sent the right people at the right time to do for you what you couldn't do for yourself. But what you can do is write it down. I remember one day I came up in the room. My son Travion is one of the most competitive people I know. And it's not just in one area. He competes all the time. And so he he had some grades that he did not like, but also me and Travion are a lot alike in this sense. If I'm sitting in class and Fran get her test results back and she got 100 and I got a 97, I'm upset. See, some of y'all are like, it's an A. No, I want to be number one in this class. Look at some of y'all. I just want to get on out the class. I want to be number one in the class. And man, I went upstairs and Travion had his report card. And the thing about it is he had a 3 something, right? But some of y'all would have been like, thank you, Lord, right? He had a 3 something. He took that paper, that report card, and he put it on the wall. And he had written down everything he was going to do to get that thing up to where he wanted it to be. He had a plan. And because he had a plan, guess what happened? His grades went right where he was expecting them to be. Most of us are not succeeding because we don't have a plan. You say you want to lose weight. Y'all ain't going to help me, but because you exercise every other day, you ain't going to lose no weight without a plan. You got to have a nutrition plan. You hear what I'm saying? And when I say you got to have a nutrition plan, you can't just say you ate healthy food because it was greens. You understand what I'm saying? Because you can eat 4 bowls of greens, and that's too many greens. You got to have a plan, portion size, nutrition. You got to know how many calories you're taking in and how many you're burning off. You can't just expect to lose weight eating and sitting around. Never mind. This ain't going too well. And that's the reason why some of y'all who have had weight loss plans have not seen your ideal weight, because you don't have a plan. You have it in your mind, but it's not on paper. When you put it on paper, you know what it does? It helps you focus. See, Proverbs 29:18, I believe it is, it says, where there is no vision, the people perish, right? Now watch this. Let's see. But he that keepeth the law, happy is he. In other words, if you stick to the word. Now watch this. I want to show you this. Put the New Living Translation up. I think it's the New Living Translation. If it's not, no. Well, it says, when people do not accept divine guidance, they what? Run wild. So here's the thing. When you don't have a plan and that plan is not written down, you don't have no order. I think one translation says they cast off all restraints. Try the NIV. Try the NIV. They cast off all restraints. It says, where there is no revelation, the people cast off all restraints. And let me tell you something. When you don't have a plan, you don't have no order. Think about this. When you've put a plan together legitimately to save money, you were able to save it. When you just talked about saving it, what happened? Nothing happened. And most of us, we don't get serious about something till we see what we want on the other end of it, right? So in other words, we have to have legitimate vision. So like if you're getting ready to buy a house, you know you got to have money at closing. Some people, when they see the closing getting near, they start to understand, I got to put some money together. But people who got real faith and real vision, you start putting the money together before you even went to the table to negotiate. Hello? And let me tell you why. Because anybody that's ever bought a house, you can get to the closing table and find out you needed more money than you had to the side. Hello? Now, we don't mind getting there, Uncle Kirby, and it's less. How many people can always deal with less? But you always got to be planning. You always got to be in the moment. Now watch this. Watch this. He's saying, write the vision, make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. And like I said, the first person to read what you write is you. So you got to point to somebody real quick. Just point to somebody real quick and just say, you can't go somewhere you can't see. You can't go somewhere you can't see. See, here's the thing. That's what a plan does. It gives you a glimpse into where you're going. Think about it. If you're getting ready to build a house from the ground up, what is the first thing they do? Is they put together plans. They call them what? Blueprints, right? When they put the blueprints together, I'm telling you, the house is real. The house is real. And then they start saying, well, how many rooms do you want? What do you want in the kitchen? How do you want this? What kind of paint do you want to use? You want to use flat paint? You want to use latex paint? What they're doing is they're pulling out of your mind what they need to put on paper so that they can begin to manifest in the natural realm what's in your head. Yeah, and you listen, when you walk in the house and you've built a house or anything from the ground up, especially if you had a part to do with the planning, it's crazy to see what you said. Let me try it again. It's crazy to see anybody. It's like it's crazy to see what you said. It's like, wait a minute. The master bedroom is exactly where I said I wanted it to be. And in order for them to do it, they had to take what I said and put it on a piece of paper and put together a. And then that way, that anybody that comes along that reads it can what? Run with it. That's the same thing for your whole life. You got to write down the plan. You got to put the blueprint together. And then he's saying, if you put the blueprint together, I'll take care of the end results. Amen. You build a house from the ground up, you don't know contractors. You don't know which contract. You know, people tell you what they can do, but you don't know. You find out if that person can see what you wrote. You hear what I'm saying? See, people with vision, they can hear what you say, put it on paper, and execute it. And that's how you got to be. You got to be able to put what you think on paper, put what's in your heart on paper, put that dream on paper. And when you put it on paper and you see it, you got to be able to run with it. And I'm telling you, as you put it on paper, I'm going to say it again, the Most High is going to release everything needed to execute it. Hello? Somebody shout everything. So there's an old saying that says if you fail to plan, you plan to what? But the truth is, if you don't have a plan, you will fail. Well, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. No, if you don't have a plan, you will fail. That's why marriages fall apart. No plan. There's no discussion. There's no direction in the beginning of what's to expect. Let's write it down. What are you expecting? This is what I'm expecting. What are the deal breakers? Because if you see the deal breaker on paper, you already know she ain't going for that. Hello? I remember when Zachary Timms and Reva Timms got a divorce. She said Zach already knew my deal breakers because we wrote it down on paper. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend like he didn't know. You got to talk about what you think about how to raise kids, because you may have one person that's a lunatic. And they just want beat. And then you like, look, you ain't going to be going around beating my kids, and you never had a discussion on what that is, especially if you got kids from another relationship. You need to find out if that person loved beating. You a guy, you got to find out, now you going to let me father your son or not? Never mind. Never mind. And one of the things I do when I sit down with people that are putting together a blended family, I go over all of that. Because let me tell you something, if you don't know where you at on that, it's going to be a problem. You hear what I'm saying? It's going to be a problem. How you think about money. I told you about my uncle, my mom's brother, who's a nuclear physicist that lives in Chicago. He was getting ready to get married. His whole life is mapped out. Literally, he has a plan for every single thing he's doing. And he's talking to the young lady, and they start going over, finances. And he says, well, do you have debt? She says, no, she doesn't have any debt. And he says, okay, because his thing was if she had debt, they was going to put together a plan to get her out of debt before they got married. He don't do the debt thing. Like, what we call bad debt, he don't do that. So they go along, they don't send out these beautiful, elegant, extravagant invitations all over the country. My uncle calls me late one night. He says, nephew, you didn't get your plane ticket yet? I said, no. He said, don't get it. Wedding's off. I said, what happened? He said, man, she lied about her debt. I don't do that. I live my life on a plan. People in my family would say, oh, that's terrible. If he loved her. Let me tell you something. If you get in debt with somebody, you'll stop loving them. Look again, because y'all live in fantasy land. Y'all live in the plane. No. Let me tell you something. If you've worked out a plan to stay out of debt and listen, we know that extreme things can happen. But just because you're undisciplined, why should this person have to submit themselves to you being undisciplined, especially when they ask you up front how you deal with money? He said, no, it's over. I said, it's over? Like, y'all gonna do it down the line? He said, no. He said, because if she lying like this now, what kind of deceitful lies is she gonna bring into the marriage? I live my life on a plan. Look at some of the women are like, that ain't right. It sure is. And you better think the same way. You better think the same way. You don't work your life in such a way where you're in a great position and you can bring a joke in your life with no discipline and they will mess up all of your plans. Now, if you're married and you're stuck, you got to work on the plan to get. But the toughest thing is to be married to somebody that just meanders and floats through life and don't never want to plan. And I'm telling you this from experience because Michelle used to try to sit me down when I was young and be like, let's do this, this, and this. And she'd be writing stuff down. And I'd be like, I don't want to do that. Or whatever I find. Because you know what? I was used to living my life hoping and wishing things work out. And I can be transparent about it because I no longer think like that. And ever since I've gotten on the same page with this is what we're planning to do, the Most High was able to take our plans and he took care of the end results. Amen. Everything we've ever planned has worked out. Never mind. Oh, my God. You hear what I'm saying? This ain't the message you're going to shout off. Some people will because they know, you know what? No matter where I'm at in my life, there is hope. All I got to do is commit my ways to the Lord. And you know what he's going to do? We go back to that scripture. Now watch this. When you commit your ways to him, go back to come on. Y'all remember? Okay, commit to the Lord, whatever you do, and your plans will what? Succeed. If you commit everything that you do, all of your actions, he's saying that your plans will what? Shout it with me. Succeed. So, principle is if you want to be successful, you have to commit what you do to the Lord so that your plans can succeed. Man, I thought I was going to get my blessing is on the way. Your blessing is in the plans. Amen. I was sitting down with my friend. He's going to be here Wednesday night. He's going to talk to y'all about how to put together a successful business plan. And the thing is, as we were talking, anybody that he sits down to do a business plan together, they get 99% approval for loans. So he was saying, he'll sit down with people and he'll say, so what's your plan? And they'll be like, do hair. What's your plan? Sell clothes? To who? Who's your market? People that wear clothes. He'd be like, okay, but what's your plan? What's your demographic? Who are you marketing to? And he'll just say, what's your plan? And most people, all they know is, I want to sell clothes, make money. But do you know you can go order a bunch of clothes and may not sell a stitch of clothing? If you don't have a plan? Who are you marketing to? Know your market. You know what I'm saying? A friend of mine had some clothes and stuff. They were trying to sell Tiglio Berninis and some suits here in Rochester. People here cheap. He said, well, you wear them? I said, I'm different. I said, but I hope you didn't think you were going to stay in business because I'm buying suits from you. you gonna go out of business fast. Because if I bought a suit a month, you still ain't going to be able to pay the lease on this building. So who is your market? You got to buy cheap suits for a cheap market. Just because you like those suits don't mean those are suits you should be selling in Rochester. Right. You got to sell rainbow clothes in Rochester. Now, y'all trying to be funny, but think I'm being funny, but I'm being serious. This is a different market. What you can sell in Atlanta, you can't necessarily sell here. Well, my buddy, he's selling these suits in Atlanta. Yeah, but it's 4 million people in Atlanta. It's 100,000 people here in Rochester. Hello? And it's not that Rochester's among the poorest cities as far as financially. It's amongst the poorest cities because of the mentality of people. See, what you got to understand is poverty is a sickness that starts in the mind. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Say it back to me. Say, poverty is a sickness That starts in the mind. Because this ain't the poorest city in the country, or the second or the third. And the people that posted and reposted are the ones that's already sick in their mind. Those are the people that believe if you move, you're going to make more money. If your mind is sick, it's going to be sick in Georgia. It's going to be sick in California. Come on, let me talk to you some. People get the flu in California. You know that, right? People get the flu in Charlotte. You know that, right? I told you I saw Dick Gregory in the airport. And I was like, Mr. Gregory, you know, what's going on? Why are you here? I said, you got a show? He said, no, I don't have a show. He said, I came here to do some stuff. I got property here in Rochester. I said, what? You got property? He said, yeah, I'm actually doing a show in Europe. But I flew in today to take care of some business. And he said, I said, well, where are you going to take care of the business? He said, right here in the airport. They got business meeting rooms right here in the airport. So you don't even have to leave the airport. You can handle your business here, get on a plane and go back. I said, you know that's a shame when you live in a place and you don't even know the rooms exist in the place that you don't flew out of 100 times. And that's because I ain't have enough business. Where somebody flying in and said, meet me at the airport in the business room. So I said, really? And you know, before he passed, y'all know if you've ever watched him, he real upfront. He said, you live here and don't know what's going on here? Huh? Huh? And I was scared to answer because I seen how he went off on other people on the YouTube page. So I was like, I see what's going on. Huh? Do you? Listen. We can't be the poorest city when all these new buildings in Henrietta keep going up.
Yeah, come on now. Come on, Bishop. Come on.
Have you driven through downtown lately?
Yep. Yep.
We just in a circle with the poorest minded people.
Come on, Bishop. That's it.
Have you ever gone someplace here that you didn't know exist and you've been living here your whole life? You be like, my God, this nice. When this get here? Oh man, it's been here for 35 years. In Rochester? And you're getting exposed to something that existed for 30 years? Because when you have a mindset of poverty, everybody you hang out with is poor. And not so much just in their pockets, but in their thinking. That's the reason why when you start sharing your plans with other people, the first thing they keep doing is trying to figure out how you're going to do it. And they may ask you that, how you going to do that? Man, you ain't going to be able to do that. And I have people that I grew up with, they do the same thing. I reframed, I was going to say people that I hang with, because I don't hang with them. I don't hang with anybody that shoots down my plane. Let me get it on. Let me hurry up. Let me hurry up. I'm not hanging with anybody. Listen, you got to hang with people that's going to speak to it. You got to hang with people when they see it, they run with it. You got to hang with people. Am I talking to the right people in here today? You got to hang with people that understand what it takes to be successful, and that's to commit whatever you do to the Lord, and your plans will succeed. You got to hang with other people that are dreamers and planners. You got to hang with other people who have vision. You got to hang with other people. Am I talking to most of y'all? You're frustrated, not because you don't believe, because every day you fighting other unbelievers because you won't change your circle. Every time certain people call, voicemail, 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 voicemail. You can't answer that call until the grand opening. Voicemail, voicemail. You can't answer that call to the housewarming. Voicemail, voicemail. You can't answer that call until you roll up in the Lex. Voicemail, voicemail. You can't answer that call till your kids are already enrolled in college and it's already paid for. Because everybody else is going to be like, how you going to do that? How many people in here know that when God gives you vision for something, he gives you something that's so much bigger than your ability to provide for it, because he wants you to know, if I can get you to think it, plan it, and write it down, I'll make sure I take care of it for you. I want to use you to show other people, if you operate in the realm of my principles, I can bless you. Am I talking to the right people? Look at somebody and say, make a plan. Watch this. Watch this. Are y'all still with me? Are you still with me? So the old adage of if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. No, if you don't have a plan, you will fail. Planning is a principle from the Most High. Stay in the same book. Look at Proverbs 16 and 9. NIV. Watch this. It says, in their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. I read established, but it says determined, because the determined means he establishes it. In what? Come on, y'all, read it. In his heart, a man what? Plans his course. Puts together a 3-month plan. Put together a 6-month plan. Put together what? A year plan. Put together 5 years. Put together 10. He says, in his heart, a man plans his course, but the Lord determines his steps. Look at somebody say, when I put this plan together, he's going to walk me right into. I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to mess with it. He's going to walk me right into everything he had implanted in my thinking, in my spirit. When I put it on paper, he's going to walk me right into it. Matter of fact, some of y'all are just one stroke of a pen away from walking right into the people that can make this thing come to pass. You know why you didn't clap with definitive confidence? Because you ain't sure. You're like, if I write it down, what? All you got to do is take simple concept. There is not one building in this city that's ever been built. One house in this city that has never been built. Not one car that you see on this road that is being driven or sitting in a car lot that didn't start out with a blueprint. This chair you sitting on started out with a blueprint. Somebody had a thought and they wrote it on paper. So you're trying to tell me if people who don't know God like you say you do have enough sense to know you got to write it on paper so you can read it and run with it, how is it that we can't get the believers to take the principle of God's word and exercise it? The same thing, if you put a budget on paper and you get up and read it every day and you begin to implement what's on paper, you're going to get out of debt. You hear what I'm saying? You're going to save some money. And when you put it on paper, you got to put a plan on paper and make sure your numbers line up. I'm going to save $20,000 this year. And you're saying, wait a minute, but I only make $30,000. Write the plan. Write the plan. And I'm telling you, the gap is going to close. I thought I had, you know what? When I go to Jersey, they'll be all right. Somebody said the gap is going to close. And you're going to say, how in the world did I save $20,000 and I only made $30,000? This don't make no sense. And the $30,000 I was making was already going to everything that I got, and I still was in a hole. But I'm telling you, when you make a plan and you turn it over to him, he will make sure he takes care of the end result. Okay, let me hurry up and get him out of here, Antoine. Are y'all still here? Look at somebody's like, I didn't come here for that today. It says, in their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. He determines them. So watch this. Who puts the plan on paper? The human. We do. Now watch this. We put it on paper, but who determines the steps of the plan? The Most High. That means the Most High will direct your steps, but if you don't have a plan, he can't direct what? So I keep saying, Lord, show me the way. Show me the next thing. He's like, I would, but you ain't did what you're supposed to do. Well, it don't make sense. I got it in my mind. Why do I have to write it down? Because he said so.
That's right. That's it. That's it.
At some point, you just got to get to the point where you just go, because he said so.
Amen.
Every week since I wrote down, I want to make $2,500 a week. Ever since that was written down, and you can ask them, it's not, my tithing has reflected what I wrote down. Amen. Look at y'all again. Amen. When you write it down, what's already been in place will start being attracted to you. You'll become a magnet to the things that you need to be successful. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Look at somebody and say, I'm about to become a money magnet. Look at you. You wouldn't even say it. Say, I'm about to become a money magnet just because of the plans that I put down on paper. I'm going to commit my ways to him. I'm going to do everything he's told me to do so I can obligate him to do what he said he's going to do. But here's the thing about him. He's not a man that he would lie. Neither the son of man shall he repent. Has he ever said something that hadn't made it good? Matter of fact, he said in the next verse, he said, I've been commanded to bless and I can't reverse it. When you align yourself up, remember, when you're in Numbers, remember what's taking place when this particular verse is in Numbers. What's taking place is they're trying to curse Israel. The man of God, the king, Jehoshaphat, don't hire somebody to curse Israel. And he's saying, I can't curse whom God has blessed. I'm trying to, bro, but it ain't working. Every time I try to curse them, they get blessed. He said the only way we're going to be able to get them to be cursed is if we get them to disobey God. And the only reason why you're in a state or situation you're in is because you disobey God. But if you commit your works to him, if you commit your actions to him, he's going to make sure your plans are successful. Am I talking to the right people? So you'll end up meandering through life unfulfilled, lost, broke, helpless, bitter, angry, depressed, confused, consistently starting things and not finishing because you start without a plan and you've never written anything down. But when you write it down and you put a plan together, and this is not the kind of message that'll make you shout now, but when you start seeing the end results of actively engaging in what you're being taught today, I ain't gonna have to ask you to shout. You're gonna come in shouting. Are you hearing what I'm saying? You're going to be in the parking lot and can't make it in because you're going to be running laps. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And so, in other words, how many people can get excited because you see the vision of where you're getting ready to go and what you're about to do and what's about to be released into your life because you're putting together a plan. Am I talking? I heard the baby said, amen. Am I talking to somebody? For some of y'all, this is just the missing ingredients to your success. And it's going to be the hardest thing you ever had to do because we haven't been taught to plan. We've been taught that faith is just hoping, wishing, and spinning around 3 times. Come on, y'all. And when we talk in the realm of faith without works is dead, you know what we've been taught? Faith without works is dead. And what we think is that we have to do the physical labor of it. And the truth of the matter is we just have to work at what he told us to do. You missing it. All he's saying is all that stuff you doing is unnecessary if you just were playing. All that stuff you doing isn't necessary. So, like I told y'all, I over a year ago, I started writing it down. I said, you know what? I want to be able to sell trade lines. I only have a certain amount of personal credit, but I want to be able to sell trade lines. I also want to be able to offer small business loans and make the commission off of those. I want to have Dominion Financial Solutions. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Are you hearing what I'm saying? I want to be able to answer every area of credit for the people that look like me. And to educate them in a way so they'll understand the way wealthy people become wealthy is using other people's money. So in the month of August, I meet a guy and I get access to 400 credit cards that I can sell trades to people and make income off of. And then while I was talking to him on the phone and I was saying, you know, one thing I want to do is primary business trades. He said, oh, I know a guy that does that and he'll help you out. So it all started with me writing it down. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Just a week ago, I got access to be able to do primary business trades. In other words, if you don't have no credit history in your business and you don't want to attach your personal credit with using your Social Security, you can use the EIN. I can show you how to get $100,000 in credit line in about 30 days. Then I said, you know what else I want to do? I started going through what I want to do, and I wrote it down. And here's the thing. I want to do small business loans. In 30 days, my company will be able to offer small business loans because I wrote it. That's okay. You ain't got to shout for me. Are you hearing what I'm saying? You ain't got to depend on GM. You ain't got to depend on whatever you at working. I'm trying to tell you there's a dream inside of you. There's vision inside of you that if you would write the plan down, if you would write the vision and make it plain so that he that readeth can run. And since I'm the first person to read what I write, look at somebody say, I'm getting ready to run up out of here because Man, I thought I had some people that see, let me tell you something. The enemy wants you to believe it's unnecessary. But I'm just like this. If God said it, then that's because he got something he want to do through it. He wants to see if you got enough faith to see it on paper and know that once you write it down, you have released heaven to do everything heaven is supposed to do for you. Now, remember when we read one of them, he says he'll take care of the end result. You just do the planning and I'm going to take care of the end result. I'm trying to tell you, look at somebody say, write it down, write it down, write it down, write it down. And I'm telling you, as you write it down, start praising, because every time you write, you release. I gotta go. I want you to go to 3 people real quick and say, every time you write, you release. Look at Father, help me, Lord. Every time you write, you release. You know what's going to be crazy? You know what's going to be crazy? Somebody say, every time you write, you release. Come on, say it again. Every time you write, you release. You know what's going to be crazy? The very person you needed to help you was already in your midst, but they couldn't be released until you write. Listen, I'm telling you right now, some of y'all need to notice there's some people already around you that have started gravitating towards you because they're directly connected to your destiny, but they're not able to speak and they're not able to do until you do what you're supposed to do. I thought I had some help up in here. Look at somebody say, every time I write, he releases. Now, I know I can't get nobody to help me but look at somebody real quick and say, do you have my money? No, look at them for real. Say, do you have my money? And the truth of the matter is, they probably do have your money, but you won't write. You won't write because you're like, oh, that's just ridiculous. I know what I want. It's in my mind. And it's the same thing. We was in a business meeting and this girl was like, well, I would like to share what I'm trying to do, but I don't want nobody to steal my idea. Can't nobody do what I do. And the fact that you're worried about somebody stealing your ideal, what you're really saying is, I'm worried about somebody that'll write it down. Because I know if they write it down, it will manifest. Am I talking to the right people? Somebody shout, write it down, write it down, write it down, write it down, write it down. Come on, shout, write it down. I dare you to nudge somebody real quick. Come on, nudge them hard. Nudge them hard. Nudge them hard. Say, write it down and it will be released. Now, there's a